This guy, I'm going to have in section 15. Yesterday we talked about the human body connecting the heaven and the earth, and this is a great example of a cluster of points that can help connect the heaven and the earth. So we know that we can use Kaufman cocktail, global balancing to accomplish some of that. But there's a particular section in the body, right around the neck, that connects the mind and the body. And these are the windows of the sky. Very often in acupuncture medicine we talk about gates and flow and channels and what have you. And so this metaphor is really quite beautiful because when you open the curtains and open the windows and you can see the heavens, and that's what's required to really connect the mind and the body. And so a lot of these points are going to be influencing mind-body medicine, and this will give you some tangible points and skills to use when that seems to be what's troubling a patient. That's pretty much what I said, connecting the mind and the body. And so we start to look at specific diagnoses. As a physiatrist, I've seen a lot of traumatic brain injury and stroke. I'm not going to cure a stroke. I'm not going to cure a traumatic brain injury. So what I try to do is I see this patient who has some sort of an injury, and then I look at the behavioral or emotional ramifications of that injury, and I'm trying to influence that person towards wellness. And that's what happens when you needle these points or so-called opening the windows. And it could be things like, okay, this person may have deafness. Are these points going to cure deafness? Not necessarily, but it could help the person with some of the behavioral aspects of deafness. It's been well proven in the elderly, if you can offer improvements in their hearing, they may be less.
Close the head, close the neck.
Someone starts hearing a little bit better, they may be a little less paranoid. So you start to look at the behaviors around some of these diagnoses, and it becomes very interesting, and that's where you can really make an impact. Another list here, and you can read these out of your book, but this list is veering a little bit more down the direction of some emotional aspects. So they're weeping, they're grieving. How can you help this person with that grieving process? There's also, the first one here, a little fullness or tension in the chest. Well, you know, if they need an EKG and they need to go to cardiology, you know, give them some, nitro and send them on their way. But if this is an ongoing tension in the chest, it's like the fellow we saw on Friday with some pectoralis tension, maybe that's, you need to look at how the body is contributing to that. It's not just the heart. Lastly, there are some more energetic sorts of things that people, excessive dreaming. So here's the body completely at rest and the mind is going crazy. So is the body and the mind a little off balance? Maybe in that instance, the mind is very, very active and the body isn't. And so it's this idea that the one area is in excess, the other is in a deficiency pattern. So we cluster the indications for windows of the sky into 4 different groupings. The first one is excess in the head. So examples of excess in the head is somebody's got insomnia. So they're thinking too much, their mind is racing, and they're just not falling asleep as they should. You could do a frontal triangle, that may help. Or you could start thinking about specific windows of the sky. Mental confusion, what have you. The next cluster is symptoms of deficiency in the head. I saw a patient quite a few years ago, but she was quite memorable. I saw her a lot. She had a very severe chronic Lyme case. And she literally came in to see me and said, I feel vacuous in my head. Now, you might think, oh, she's kind of an airhead. She was a very accomplished medical writer in Silicon Valley, a very intelligent woman, and she just felt like her head was empty. So she was a great candidate for windows of the sky points. I wasn't able to cure chronic Lyme, strangely enough, but that's an example of deficiency in the head. Likewise, there could be excess in the body, so this fullness or pounding in the chest, and you've ruled out cardiac causes, you've addressed medical indications as appropriate. Now think about windows of the sky. Now why, any ideas why would poor memory be in this list? Any ideas? Somebody take a stab at it. Just take a chance at being wrong. Katie! I'm so glad she hasn't used up all her coupons. Go for
I
it.
don't know, I think I'm close.
No, not even.
But I was like, the awkward silence bothered me. But anywho, so on this one, I imagine the poor memory is the same way you get with people who are very anxious, where they have tons of norepinephrine and stuff firing, and that's why they can't focus.
I like that explanation, and it's a great Western medicine theory. And as you become accomplished at medical acupuncture, you'll find that you need to consistently translate concepts, Western medicine concepts and Chinese concepts. And sometimes they just don't translate. So I'll tell you a weird one. Do you ever, we'll get to you now.
I was going to take a stab at it.
Oh, go ahead and take a stab at it.
Well, so you get, why do you have memory problems when you have excess body?
Uh-huh.
Is that the question? Right? So
Yeah.
it's balance, right? So you can empty out everything in your head. It's all in your body.
Yeah, and you wanted to
Balance it, so
reconnect and
memory is what lives in your head. Right?
exactly. And so think about a not a metaphor, saying that we have in our culture, and is that you've learned something by heart. You've all heard that before? Well, in Chinese medicine, Katie's never heard that before. Did you ever memorize something by heart? Music? Yeah. So in Chinese medicine says your memory is actually short-term memories in the kidneys and long-term memories in your heart. Weird. So we know that the organs, and now I'm going wacky Chinese medicine on you here, the organs have these energetic attributes, and a lot that we attribute to our brains is quite possibly housed in our organs. So anyway, that's just why that's on this list here. We will move into deficiency in the body and things like, I feel like my legs cannot support my body. We're not talking about MS here, so we're not trying to treat something like paraplegia with windows in the sky. But if someone has that sensation of, gosh, I just used to feel more capable and I just don't feel like I have the energy there now, this is an indication. So we're going to go through this cluster of points one by one and talk about their locations. And we will go to tables, review locations in very much detail with preceptors, and needle them. Now, some of these needle points may feel a little bit intimidating to you, but they may not, it's fine. I will confess that I didn't do a lot of neck points for about the first year out because I was just a big weenie. And then I finally kind of dug in and started doing them, and it was fine. So we wanted to make sure that this is introduced to you in Module 2 so that you can warm up to these points and get comfortable with them. Because they really are around jugular vein and other such vital structures. So Long 3 is a nice place to start because it's nice and safe. It is. And I think you have, oh yeah, you do. Okay. Descriptions. Now I'm not going to read these descriptions to you. You can certainly do that yourself, but just be aware that in your small groups, you'll have the opportunity to find these and needle these. So Lung 3, the lung channel goes from the anterior chest down to the thumb, and it falls nicely on that channel. The next one, Master Heart 1. Who was with me first edition on Friday? It was Brooke, maybe? It was Brooke, the Master Heart 1 needler. So this is a guy who had protracted shoulders, big pecs, he's been working out, and he complained of pain posteriorly. So instead of going directly to the pain, we decided to open this up. And so Brooke did a wonderful 4-quadrant trigger point needling right at Master Heart 1, so it's lower aspect of the pectoralis muscle. So you can think in terms of the body holding that tension in there and constricting the nice flow that should be going up to his heavenly area. Master Heart 1, there's your description. And it is a functional point. What that means is palpate around the pectoralis muscle, find the area that's the most tender, and then needle that spot. And sometimes you get a beautiful myofascial release at that spot. And I see people feeling, feel free to palpate your chest now. Kevin's palpating his chest. Okay. You got a tender spot in there? Yeah, you kind of want to needle there?
I don't know yet.
Don't know who you're working with. Okay, next one, CV22. Conception vessels starts in your conception areas, comes up the midline and ends up here at the chin and goes into your mouth. So right above your sternal notch, CV22. Avoid the trachea. All right, and I want to just mention these three. If you really want to get wild and crazy and actually memorize these, which is such a great idea, memorize them in little clusters. So your first three are down here. Okay, so we've got lung 3, mass of the heart 1, and CV22. They're kind of in the same zone. And then there we go. The next three are going to be in relation to the sternocleidomastoid. Okay? And we'll get into detailed details. But the first one is stomach 9. And it's anterior to the sternocleidomastoid muscle. What's right underneath there? Yeah. So you're going to want to really practice this one very intently today so you're not scared of it when you go back to clinic, right?
Yeah.
I don't see half nodding yet.
Just hold pressure.
Just hold pressure. There are ways to safely needle this. Right? So anterior to the sternocleidomastoid muscle at the level of lower
Central line.
prominence. And we'll show you how to needle that. Next one, grabbing that sternocleidomastoid muscle. And this was my favorite one to start with because I felt really safe. You just grab that muscle and needle it right in the middle. That's large intestine 18. Again, it's at the level of the laryngeal prominence, which is very hard for me to say. The third one in this cluster is small intestine 16, and that's posterior to the sternocleidomastoid. See how easy this is? It's so easy that they have a numerical relationship. So in the back is 16, you add 2 is 18, large intestine 18, then you divide it by 2 and it's stomach 9. Piece of cake. All right. So the next grouping, this is where it gets a little wild and crazy, because now we're creeping up towards the occiput. Small intestine 17, right behind the angle of the mandible, right below, underneath and behind. In the soft spot, right at the corner of the mandible. Okay. Small intestine 17. Needle towards the root of the tongue. That's a safe place. We go back now to triple Peter 16. This one is posterior and inferior to the mastoid process. So go ahead and feel it. There you go. Give yourself a little massage there. Go down and back from the mastoid process. Posterior to the sternocleidomastoid. Often a little tender in there. And then in this cluster, because we're right below the skull, is bladder 10. Now bladder 10, have you all done bladder 10 already? Does that sound familiar? But you know the bladder line, right? Okay. This is on that inner bladder line, and it's at or below the level of the C2 spinous process. So when you come down from the inion, you know where the occipital protuberance is because you're an expert on scalp acupuncture now. You go down into that soft spot. You don't really want to needle there just yet. But the first spinous process you feel is C2, right? Because you don't have one in C1. Once you find C2, you go lateral to that. And that's bladder 10. Are you good on that? And we save the best for last. And that is maybe 16. Remember I said that little soft spot underneath the occipital protuberance? I said you're not quite ready yet? Yeah, now you're ready. Okay, so do you want to take, let's see, who could I pick on? I'm not picking on Julie anymore, because I picked on her all day. Kevin, you want to take a really deep needle in at this point?
No, not deep, no.
Not too deep? Actually, you know, unless you have a really protected patient, you've got to go pretty deep before you break down. But there are ways to avoid breakdown. There are ways.
That's good.
Mainly by pointing that needle towards the mouth. Basically, don't point it upwards into the brain. Okay, point it towards the mouth. And we'll show you this. And this is a beautiful point. It's actually one of the points that you'll learn about someday called ghost points or spirit points. And it has a lot of power for what's actually going on inside the brain. All that stuff that Mitch talked about. So GB16, that's your last wind of the sky point. Aim towards the chin, aim towards the mouth, aim down. So there they are in all their glory. And so do you just needle all of them and open up all the windows? Thomas is like,
It's a nice breeze.
Just
nice
air out the house.
Breeze from the soul.
So you could just needle all of them, just for the heck of it, or you could narrow it down. So any ideas how you might want to narrow it down? Oh, don't peek ahead.
Do the ones that are tender?
Oh, did you peek ahead? Do the ones that are tender, absolutely. That is a great approach. So palpate for tenderness. Needle the tender ones. They may not be symmetrical. Do you know any symmetrical humans?
You do it bilaterally?
I needle what's tender. Yeah, especially, think about somebody got rear-ended. They weren't looking straight forward. They're looking this way, got rear-ended. Oh man, this particular sternocleidomastoid or the scalenes or whatever is tender on one side but not the other. Or they sleep like this every night. Yeah, so just palpate, see what tender needle is tender. You can also then take those points that you've chosen. Let's see, out of all those points you've chosen 3 windows. And they seem to fall in a particular pattern. You've gotten triple heater point, and it seems to fall in a pattern that we'll be talking about later. We say, well, let's use the triple heater meridian in the entire circuit that includes the triple heater to reinforce that. Okay? And just to overwhelm you further, you could also pick the yuan point, which you don't know yet, but you can. We'll talk about yuan points someday. Not today. We're not talking about it. Okay, you may also choose the points based on indications. And this is after you've gone home and read all about them and feel very confident with the really specific indications. So not all of the Windows points do the same thing. They all have special little features. So you can choose Windows points based on their features. So I'm going to run through these relatively quickly because you have the notes and you can read them on your own. But very quickly, lung 3, I tend to think of lung 3 more for grieving, weeping, maybe forgetfulness, but it could be that kind of forgetfulness that people get when they're depressed. So lung 3, and that has to do with the fact that the lung meridian is on the circuit that includes people that are grieving. Next to the heart 1, we had a fellow with a real tight pecs. He had muscle tension. He didn't have chest pain. Well, he had pain at T4 at the back.